Friends, welcome family. What's going on, Ma? Welcome you guys to a watch party. It's a Friday here. Did you guys know that it's Friday? It's a watch party here on a Friday. And in case you guys didn't know, I want to make sure that you know that it's a Friday here at the watch parties because the week, I guess it was kind of disjointed considering I missed. Was that Wednesday that I missed? The week was a little bit of a hiccup for me, but still, I don't forget. Some of you guys are wondering because I teased it. I'm trying something different. I also posted it in case something else that I didn't know about, YouTube and everything. You can post just random posts like you do on any other social media site. I posted this about 10 minutes ago for the spoiler for the new drink. I don't know if you guys know this one. I haven't had this one yet. Bang Energy. By any means, orange is the flavor. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but we're gonna go for it anyway. I'll tell you how bad it is because I'm not expecting much, especially since hold on, Slow. Nas is my normal drink of choice. I'm still working on that sponsorship deal. So if anybody's connected to Nas energy drink, let them know that I'm on them every week. That is, except for this week. It tastes like an orange popsicle with the vanilla icing ice cream in the middle. Anyways, I think that's what they were trying to go for there because that's exactly what this tastes like. Luckily, I have water over here too, so when this gets too nasty, I won't keep drinking it. Don't worry. There's only like once every week or two that I do this. It's turning into a Friday thing, so maybe I should stop. Either way, there's too many things to go through. I'm not sure why I didn't start this stream a little bit earlier. Probably because I was getting that drink together and making sure that I had it prepared before I opened it in front of you guys to make sure you guys make talk trash about me. But I'm waiting for some actual more interesting drinks, not just what my mother's drinking, which is just white cranberry juice. Come on, bro. But still lots to talk about. Let's maybe we'll dive in. I put it in the headline, maybe you guys saw, but there's three stories I'm going through, so many different avenues and aspects of them, lots of videos to show you to prove the point that I'm making, or maybe just to have you see it for the developments that you didn't know was going on here in this country. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, if you guys will come in. So since you guys are here, I almost forget this part every time at the beginning. Go ahead, like this stream. Please share the stream so people who don't know, we're doing it right now every day at noon for the next hour, maybe hour and 10 minutes in this case today. They didn't know what's happening. Share it. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, do that as well. I saw someone put in the comments the other day that they're seeing more of my watch party streams pop up in their feeds. And I was like, finally, bro, this is good. So maybe we're doing something right. Maybe all the cussing and name calling I do of these folks in this fascist administration, maybe they're not actually banning me. Who knows? We'll see. We'll find out after today. That's for sure. Swain Dragon tells me maybe you could try Luke Beasley's energy drink Pep. I don't know. All I know about Luke Beasley is that he doesn't he talk to folks in the streets, political stuff. What does he know about energy drinks? I mean, Nas is the way to go. Anyways, let's get started. You guys may have heard about this. It all went down yesterday. Once I saw it happening, I was on the fence whether or not to come on for a random live like I do when big breaking news happens, but I decided to wait and compile this up here. Here is the latest in this next step of fascism. This president going after what he deems his political enemies, which is really anybody who tells the truth. He's now gone after former FBI Director James Comey. This guy, he even responded to this indictment that finally came down that they were teasing so consistently. Here we go.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged, you are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
James Comey responding directly in the camera on a TikTok. I'm sorry, that's an Instagram, about this indictment that came down from Donald Trump's Justice Department on all kinds of random things that I don't think many people think are really going to stick. But as this was all building up, we saw it happening from a day or two before. There was a potential deadline for it because there's a statute of limitations surrounding this. So Donald Trump was asked about it, and look at him and Plan Bondi playing stupid yesterday before this came down. The games are just clownish. Watch.
We heard there could be an indictment on James Comey. Do you know if there is an indictment, or Madam Attorney?
I don't know. I know it's going on because I read the papers just like you do, right? So I don't know. Do you have anything to say about that?
We can't comment on that.
Yeah.
Madam Attorney General, can you comment? Can you comment on New York Times? Madam Attorney General.
I don't even know what the purpose of that is. I mean, I don't know about it. I read about it in the papers. So Donald Trump brings out a newspaper. This is, again, showing his age. He reads about it in the papers just like you do. He's talking to folks in the media. Why are the folks in the media reading it in the papers? They're the media. Whatever. It's just things, little things like that that indicate how he's lying is what it is that pop up in my ears when I hear him lie like that. I had no idea. Pam, do anything about this? Pam, I mean, I'm totally disconnected. Every time he says he's disconnected from one of the things that he does, he tells probably like the next sentence how exactly he was connected. So actually, let's get to the details of this indictment. This huge 2-page indictment based on apparently James Comey lying. Here, check it out.
We've seen this indictment now. It's just about 2 pages. It's quite brief, actually. As you combed through it, what stood out to you?
Yeah, no, the bare bones nature of this charge, of this indictment really stands out. And what we know about it, Caitlin, is that Lindsay Halligan, who is the newly installed U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, she is the one who personally presented this to the grand jury. That's not normal. Usually you have career assistant U.S. attorneys who make these presentations to the grand jury. In this case, we know that there were concerns that were raised by the career lawyers in that office who did not believe that this was a case that they could bring to fruition. And so what we have here is 2 counts against the former FBI director, an extraordinary day in American history, of course. But we also know that there was a 3rd count that prosecutors had tried to get approval for that the grand jury rejected. We know that what was rejected, according to the magistrate judge, was a count of false statements in the jurisdiction of a congressional proceeding and obstruction of a congressional proceeding. And so those 2 carry 5-year terms if he is convicted.
So they're going on some perjury charges. He lied on the stand. He was talking about this whole leak thing that happened. Andrew McCabe. You've seen all those names and heard them talk Russia constantly. So now this is apparently his end. But I saw other folks analyzing this last night, and what they were talking about was the fact that this is one of these 2-page reports with very thin on details, though, which was very similar to what they were saying beforehand, which actually led me to think that they were going to miss their window on it. But as it sounds, even has this new U.S. attorney out in Virginia had to directly deliver this to the grand jury, which is also uncommon, apparently, according to that reporter. So there's just a lot of odd issues surrounding it. And the lack of clarity about what it is that they're shooting for and exactly how they think they're going to get it. So, as people are analyzing and looking into this, one of those folks is also Representative Dan Goldman. He's a Democrat as well. And he pointed out some potential other issues with this outside of the obvious fact that this is a revenge tour. Here's Dan Goldman.
Fundamentally, there's a major flaw here, which is that this false statements count is predicated on Ted Cruz's summary of Andy McCabe's testimony. If, as Ellie says, McCabe's testimony was different than what Cruz said, and in fact, he did testify that he told Comey the day after he actually did the leak. Well, of course, Comey couldn't have authorized it beforehand. And so that will essentially nullify any argument that this is a false statement, not to mention all the other requirements of materiality to the investigation, et cetera. But they're basing this on a summary of McCabe's testimony, not on McCabe's testimony.
Congressman, thank you for being here.
It's almost like it's amateur hour. They're basing this off of Ted Cruz's summary of that testimony that actually says these things happened in a different order that wouldn't even allow James Comey to be aware of allowing Andrew McCabe to leak, which is the basis for what they're saying he lied about. It's his responsibility, they're saying, and also that he lied, that he told McCabe that he could actually leak. There was other aspects of it too as well that I talked about yesterday, as this was potentially even building up, that McCabe had that authority to do it in the first place. So again, it's almost like they just don't care, but you would think they'd try to get some level of traction on it. They don't think they need to fool anybody that supports them, or when this guy thinks he's just full-on fascist, he's like, I'm just going to lay this out. My courts will do what I tell them to, and eventually it'll get to my Supreme Court after these other lower courts knock it and strike it down, which that's his norm now, or he'll start suing people. All this lawfare that he was talking about, I think it's on full display for what it really is. It really might actually allow some people to peel off from blindly supporting this. It's kind of constant and blatant. Even more so that Andrew McCarthy over on Fox News, he didn't even have anything very nice to say about it.
Give us your reaction to the indictment.
Well, I don't think there's a case. You know, the things that Kash Patel that you just played, that he was talking about, that you and I have spoken about for years, Maria, the Russiagate stuff, I'm as big a critic of that probably as there is. I wrote a book about it. I think it was a disgrace, and history will remember it that way. This indictment is not about that, and it seems to be premised on something that's not true, which is that McCabe said that Comey authorized him to leak to the Wall Street Journal. If you look closely at what McCabe said was that he directed a leak to the Wall Street Journal and told Comey about it after the fact. So it's true that Comey never authorized it in the sense of okaying it before it happened. So I don't see how they can make that case. What this case is about is Comey is accused of lying because what Ted Cruz said, and this, yeah, right. And what Cruz said, and I think this was just a garble on his part, was that Comey authorized McCabe to orchestrate the leak. And what the Inspector General found, and this isn't even just what the Inspector General found, this is McCabe's own version of events.
Right.
McCabe said that he directed the leak and he told Comey about it afterwards. Now, they have a dispute about what exactly McCabe told Comey afterwards and whether Comey was approving or disapproving of it. But the charge is that Comey authorized the leak, and he didn't authorize the leak.
I see.
Maria Bartiromo sounded a little bit there disappointed. I see, Andrew. Damn it. It's like I didn't think about this before. I came on here thinking this was going to be a total propaganda segment on this. So again, it's not really working out that, well, at least from this point from where we're seeing. And he's probably, I guess, leaning on who he thinks is going to get this case and who can probably look past all the things. Those are the technical sides of it. Those last two are a couple analysis of it. The reporter from CNN, Dan Goldman, and then also Andrew McCarthy there, all with pouring some water on this fire that he thinks he's started. And by the way, the main part about this is that they can dismiss these charges when it's obvious that it's been all based in political retribution. And even though Donald Trump, I guess, knows that, he still posted this immediately after. This guy's such an idiot. Right after the indictment came down, that he said he didn't know was going to happen. Pam, do you know anything about this? He posted this: justice in America. One of the worst human beings in this country has ever been exposed to is James Comey, the former corrupt head of the FBI. Today, he was indicted by a grand jury on 2 felony counts for various illegal and unlawful acts. Which ones are those, Donnie? He has been so bad for our country for so long and is now at the beginning of being held responsible for his crimes against our nation. So this guy gets indicted, and you immediately go on social media to then talk about how guilty he is, how justice is going to be. This is the president of the United States. So if there's some criminal proceedings going on that you pushed, and we obviously saw you push for it, then you go on immediately after it goes down and say, justice is going to happen. This guy's so guilty. Imagine the way that that's potentially destroying any kind of jury pool or any kind of public opinion on this. This could be tossed out just from that type of stuff. I mean, I'm no attorney. Maybe it can be tossed out from that, but it's not a good look for the president to then immediately be talking about it. And dude didn't even shut up. He still had more. whether you like corrupt James Comey or not, and I can't imagine too many people liking him, he lied. It's not a complex lie. It's a very simple but important one. There's no way he can explain his way out of it. He's a dirty cop and always has been, but he was just assigned a crooked Joe Biden appointed judge, so he's off to a very good start. Nevertheless, words are words, and he wasn't hedging or in dispute. He was very positive. There was no doubt in his mind about what he said or meant by saying it. He left himself zero margin for error on a big and important answer to a question. He just got unexpectedly caught. James Dirty Cop Comey was a destroyer of lives. He knew exactly what he was saying, and that it was a very serious and far-reaching lie for which a very big price must be paid. This guy's like writing like a fantasy novel about his look for, some kind of revenge. Like, that's written in this way that's like James Dirty Cop Comey. Like this. Now he has to add more quotation names to people in the middle of an indictment that he says is very important and very big deal. But he's definitely minimizing it with all these posts about it. And when I say all these posts, it means, yeah, there was another one. At least this one was short because he wanted to drive this point home. James Comey's a dirty cop. Make America great again. So why would anyone believe that this guy is not completely corrupt and has not corrupted the Department of Justice, corrupted the FBI, and has told his minions to do everything that he told them to do? And if anybody had any issue or believed his lies before about how there was a weaponization of our judicial system and that dirty Joe Biden was going after all these people, I mean him, and then got those 34 felony counts against him carried out. Oh, and then there was also E. Jean Carroll who got that rape charge against him carried out. It's weird how he kept losing in court. But this guy has already adjudicated the whole thing on Truth Social before they even gone anywhere. And what he's actually doing is destroying the case that apparently was already bad from the first place. He's a clown. He's a child. He thinks he's getting some kind of revenge because he thinks he's the only person that matters in the country. I'm going to go back to more from Fox News. Howard Kurtz even had some, demoralizing things to say about this, but obvious at the same time.
Let's not mince words here. I say this as a former Justice Department reporter. This was completely and totally orchestrated by President Trump. He says he's leaving it to justice, but he very much out in the open. Remember, he fired his own appointee as U.S. attorney in that part of Virginia because he didn't think there was enough evidence to bring this case. Brought in White House aide, his former defense lawyer, whose job was to get this done. And apparently that has worked. I think we've become inured to this, but in previous administrations, any hint of contact within a criminal case would be a scandal on its own. And so President Trump, by the way he pulled the strings, has gotten his way with this initial indictment. Let's not mince words.
Under normal, Howard Kurtz, who works for Fox News, said under any other normal administration, any hint of this type of thing would have ended the whole thing from the first place. This guy should have been impeached. This guy should have been run out a long time ago. The entirety of the Congress and the Senate should have run his ass out under normal circumstances. But that's why I want to make sure we highlight that. Under normal circumstances, this would have killed anybody else's presidency. But the thing that keeps him afloat is that there's an entire fascist party. It's not just the administration. They're keeping him around because they're afraid of him. We saw the way they talked about him before he became president. They said he's a loser, he's an idiot, he's stupid, he never knows anything that he's doing correctly. These are Republicans that talked about him. His damn vice president said those types of things about him. He was the first one to call him Hitler. So now this entire party has to circle the wagons and somehow try to protect him because there's a lot on the line here, despite the fact that he doesn't give a damn. He's still supposed to be trying to act like this is not something that he's orchestrated, that Howard Kurtz just said he's completely orchestrating. That is also right after Donald Trump posted multiple times about how it's a celebration of a day because it's going after his political enemy. So naturally, folks asked him about it. His answers didn't get better.
Is this more about justice or is it about revenge?
It's about justice, really. It's not revenge. It's about justice.
It's also about the fact that you can't let this go on. They are sick, radical left people, and they can't get away with it. And Comey is.
it's all about justice. They're sick, radical leftist people. I can't let them get away with it. No, and I know we're not going to chalk this up to him getting old and he's losing a step and dementia dying and all that stuff people say. This is who this guy has always been. He's always been a blatant liar. When he was 30 years old, he was a blatant liar and didn't care that people saw how obvious it was that he was lying. He would just continue to lie. And for some reason, that began to stick. Here he is still trying to beat that rep, and it's not going to work.
Now that James Comey has been indicted, who is the next person on your list in this retribution? It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats. Because Comey essentially was he's worse than a Democrat. I would say the Democrats are better than Comey. But no, there'll be others. Look, that's my opinion. They weaponized the Justice Department like nobody in history. What they've done is terrible. And so I hope there are others, because you can't let this happen to a country.
There's no list, but there will be others. All of the radical leftist Democrats. What do you know? It's like he doesn't have a list, but then he does have a list right after he said that he doesn't have a list, and that it's all of them. Because they did these corrupt things with weaponizing the Justice Department, like I'm obviously doing right now. It really is hard to read whether or not he understands what he's saying, or whether or not he thinks no one else understands exactly what he's saying. He's got a list, but still he kind of doesn't have a list. It actually got worse. This is probably the best version of best example of him acting like he doesn't know what's going on, or is actually all about what's going on, but at the same time it really isn't him going after his political enemies, which, by the way, only nailed his ass down. Remember his list? Let's not forget. Hold on. In case you guys forgot, outside of the fact that he appointed this woman to be the U.S. attorney out in Virginia to carry out this case after he fired the guy that he previously, a few months ago, appointed to do the same thing, but the guy said, no, I think this is a shaky ass case. It's not going to work out. All that was posted. After that, before that, he appointed her. He posted that long, I guess, message that he was supposed to give to Pam Bondi about how she needs to go after multiple people. He named them. One of them was James Comey. And then Letitia James and Adam Schiff. I think James Comey was on that particular post. But that was like blatantly put out there. Like, are judges and this system not supposed to pay attention to the build up to this, and how the guy said there's no evidence here, therefore he fired him and then placed someone else in? The guy that he fired originally said he was resigning, the original U.S. attorney out there in Virginia. He said, I'm going to resign. Trump put his face in front of a camera and said, he's not resigning, I'm firing him. Don't let him trick you and make you think that he's leaving. Bro, that's like your cover. Here he is, letting us know more.
It seems like an indictment of James Comey is imminent. Would this be the first step in accountability for pushing the hoax of Russia, along with Barack Obama involved as well?
Well, I can't tell you what's going to happen because I don't know. You have very professional people headed up by the Attorney General and Todd Blanche and Lindsay Halligan, who's very smart, good lawyer, very good lawyer. They're going to make a determination. I'm not making that determination. I think I'd be allowed to get involved if I want, but I don't really choose to do so. I can only say that Comey's a bad person. He's a sick person. I think he's a sick guy, actually. He did terrible things at the FBI. And but I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen. Thank you very much.
This guy has no idea what's going to happen. But he also said in that very same sentence, paragraph, I could get involved if I wanted to. I'm not involved. I don't know anything that's going on. Lindsay Halligan is doing a great job. It's amazing what they're doing. I have no idea what's happening. Pam Bondi, I have no idea what's happening. But you know what? I could if I wanted to. That's not the first time he's done that. He's talked before about how he's not involved in some nefarious shit that's happening. And then as it's happening, he goes, if I wanted to, though, I could get involved. In other words, if you guys openly and blatantly see how involved I am in this, and someone points out how involved I am in this, at least I have this to fall back on. I get to, That's dictatorial kind of talk. So last couple instances of this going on, because as I pointed out, that former U.S. Attorney Donald Regine that he booted because he wouldn't jump onto this bad case. It's odd though, even Pam Bondi, who's like one of the biggest yes men in his administration, it was reported beforehand that she wasn't really thinking it would work either.
Right now, the clock is ticking on a possible indictment of James Comey. The statute of limitations expires today on these possible charges, and the indictment could come as soon as this afternoon. But sources tell CNN that Attorney General Pam Bondi and top prosecutors have reservations about indicting the former FBI director, who is under investigation for possibly lying to Congress in 2020. But it's important to remember, this is not happening in isolation, okay? Senior DOJ leaders also pushing for prosecutors to charge former National Security Advisor John Bolton with a crime this week. That's according to two sources familiar with that investigation, which did begin under the Biden administration. Another source tells CNN that the DOJ's political leadership views charging Bolton as a way to placate President Trump. Right now,
this is why I say stop arguing over the facts around any of this stuff. It's blatant. Donald Trump is directing his Department of Justice and the FBI to go after anybody that he wants. It's completely baseless. Hasn't have to any basis in any fact or any kind of evidence because he said so. In fact, their reasoning under the United States judicial system now, their reasoning for now going after. And by the way, both of these guys, John Bolton and also James Comey, are both conservative guys who helped Donald Trump in the past, which should also be an indication to folks who help him right now. He doesn't care. That whole loyalty thing he likes to talk about does not apply to him. He's going after these guys. So there's many people who are like, man, F John Bolton, man, F James Comey. The only problem is with that is that that's just continuing to embolden and invigorate this guy to do it to anybody that he wants. The same thing with Jimmy Kimmel. I don't watch Jimmy Kimmel's show. The point is that he was going after free speech. So in this case, as he's going after who he deems his political enemies, it's going to just turn into anybody that he doesn't like or said the wrong thing to him, which I said it's going to turn into, but we're already there. But again, here, Pam Bondi wasn't even really on board. She was afraid still. She's like, I'm not sure if this is really worth happening. So, but the reasons why she's still around is because after it happens and she played dumb. This was her post. But she says no one is above the law. Today's indictment reflects the Department of Justice's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. We will follow the facts. In this case, she was following the facts when she advised Trump that we probably shouldn't do this. Some ketchup was probably thrown on some walls. He probably called her a few names, and she's like, "Okay, I mean, we'll go with it, and we'll see if I can continue, to defend this." We'll see where this goes next, though. James Comey, he's ready to fight. So there's that. The developments in the United States of America and where our judicial system has gone. I'm just ready. I'm ready for the folks who said that this guy's not a fascist to let me know at what point is it going to start? When does the fascism kick in? I mean, we've got about 50 to 60 things he's done that are totally fascist. Which leads me to this next story, though. Did you guys see this video? First of all, I don't know if I give these types of content warnings and soon enough in advance, but we're going to talk about these ICE agents and the way that they've attacked and violently gone after both American citizens and undocumented or documented migrants in this country. Here's one of those instances. Maybe you guys saw this floating around. It was all over a bunch of feeds yesterday because it was just this devastating, despite what we've already seen. Check this out.
Adiós, 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 adiós.
There was an ICE agent there that attacked a woman that was upset that they had, looks like another one of those court proceedings, those processes that they say migrants and immigrants should go through here in this country to do it the right way, and where they've been sweeping people up indiscriminately. And he decides to attack her. They're emboldened to do things like this because nobody jumped on his ass and whooped his ass because, he's got his boys around him. This roving gang of deportation police are going around doing these things. I mean, I guess there was the one instance of this guy not having a mask on to protect his identity and to protect himself from any kind of retribution. Why would there be any kind of retribution if you're not doing dirty things? Here's another example. Did you guys see this?
Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! Help me! It's ICE! ¡Con la recompensa! ¡Ayuda! 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 Help me! Help me! Help me! ¡Ayuda! Help me! Help me! ¡Ayúdame! ¡Ayúdame! Help me! Help me! ¡Ayuda! 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 Help me! Help me! ¡Ayuda! Hey, look at the ¡Ayuda! ¡Ayuda! Right there. ¡Ayúdame! They're trying to kill me. ¡Ayúdame! ¡Ayúdame! That's how they treat old people. Why? Why? You trying to kill me? ¡Ay, American! ¡Ay, American!
Put the gun down. Put the gun down. Put the gun down. You're gonna shoot him? Point the gun. We have it. Put the gun down.
You're gonna shoot me? Shoot me. Shoot me.
Put the gun down.
You're gonna shoot me.
What's your name? What's your name?
Put the gun on me. I ain't fucking scared.
What's your name?
Yeah, he's gonna shoot me.
Get out of here.
That clumsy ass, goofy ICE agent there, struggling and fighting with someone that they're looking to disappear off the streets, lost his gun, scrambled across the ground, and the first thing he thought to do with that gun once he got it back in his possession was to point it at all these bystanders that are recording him, because he's soft, because he's a little bitch, because you see the fear in his eyes, you see his face, you see how scared he was. These are the guys that have to have their guns out in order to attack citizens because they're afraid. So these little babies that are afraid of other human beings, that are afraid of the United States citizens that they're attacking, they've invaded under the orders of their fascist president, have to scramble together and point guns at people because the first thing he thinks is, oh my God, they're going to hurt me, because that's all that's in his mind. Get a good look at his face. There's a reasons why they keep wearing these masks, is because if we know who they are, there's going to be people that want to do to them what they do to other folks first. So they can talk about all this aggression all they want, but the aggression, as we've seen in countless situations, starts with them. Here's another one of those instances. This has happened in Southern California, down in I think in the Valley out in LA. This elderly gentleman runs a car wash. Let me show you guys these images first. This elderly gentleman runs a car wash, and they tackled him to the ground over one of their raids that they were having, because, they're all about justice. Again, a 79-year-old man. His name is Ralphie Ola Shahid. Let's get the actual video of what is that happened. Again, more violence coming from these folks in ICE uniforms. I mean, if that's what they are.
Este caso, Rafi Ola Shawed estadounidense de 79 años. Un agente lo empujó al piso cuando se acercó a ver qué pasaba. Luego, cuando les pidió a los oficiales mostrarles los documentos de sus trabajadores, volvieron a tirarlo y lo esposaron. El hombre estuvo 12 horas arrestado, sin atención médica. Solo cuando lo liberaron, su familia pudo llevarlo al hospital, donde comprobaron que tenía costillas fracturadas, golpes en la cabeza y un codo dislocado.
So that was the surveillance video from that man's car wash. 79-year-old man that they attacked a couple times as they ran around there as if they're trying to track down some animals, because that's how their mindset is. And you can see the devastating nature of the fall that he took. Let me give you details of what is that they did to him. So again, that man's name is Shahid, and he told KTLA that he stepped outside to speak with those agents as they were conducting that raid, offering proof that his employees were legally authorized to work. But he was instead cursed at, pushed back, and body slammed onto the pavement. According to the civil rights claim, 3 agents then jumped on his back, with one forcing a knee onto his neck while the others restrained his arms. Here's a quote. They grabbed one of my guys, and I told them, hold on, some of these people have papers. They have documentation here. And the only thing they said was, you don't F with ICE. We're here. And they threw me on the floor. And 3 of them, they jumped on me and were sitting on me. Because they're afraid. This is the reasons why Donald Trump has the National Guard in the streets of a few cities, is because he's already afraid and he knows there's potential a pushback coming from citizens who are being oppressed. So he's like, well, if I have the guns in your face already, then maybe you won't even think about that. Here's more details of what they did to this old guy. He claimed that he told agents he had recently undergone heart surgery and 3 stents and couldn't breathe, but his pleas were ignored. He was then handcuffed, transported to the Metropolitan Detention Center in LA, and held for nearly 12 hours without medical attention. Despite agents later acknowledging that he is a U.S. citizen, Shahid said he was denied phone calls to his family and then released without charges. Odd how that works after all that talk that they have. F with ICE. Again, they're not following any kinds of normal orders, normal law enforcement procedures, none of that. They don't care. They feel like they have this wide berth to do anything that they want. Here's some of those injuries that they were talking about, in case you guys didn't understand Spanish. After his release, Shahid was treated at a local hospital for multiple broken ribs, elbow injuries, contusions, and post-concussive symptoms from a traumatic brain injury. He says he continues to suffer both physical and psychological effects, which I'm sure people will be like, what kind of psychological effects could you have from being attacked by a bunch of armed men that ran up on your business? Since this small business MAGA Republican Party likes to talk about how they're supporting American businesses and attack him and also ignore his proof to show you that his employees are working here legally. But no one cares, which makes you wonder, at some point, maybe the people that you're attacking and assaulting and potentially killing, maybe they'll stop caring too. I mean, I was going to talk about this before it all blew up and I didn't have the full Miami Herald article, but did you guys hear about those 1,200 or so detainees at what they shut down Alligator Alcatraz? How they lost that many folks, like a third of the people that were there. Disappeared, don't know what countries they may have sent folks to, don't know if some of these folks may have died, don't know what they did to these people because they don't consider them people. So I ask again, as these internment camps have turned into murder camps, at what point are we going to finally realize these guys are Nazis? They don't care about certain humans' lives because they're like, those humans' lives are lesser than mine. I'm this superior white race. They've told us so many times. All you have to do is finally start believing them. Here's another example. I'm not done.
Hey, you living? I can videotape. I'm a combat vet. No, I'm a combat vet. Are you a... Then where's the cop? Are you a cop? Are you ICE or a cop? Hey, are you ICE or a cop? Hey, are you living? Call me that, please. Call 911. Hey, are you ICE or a cop? Hey, are you living? Gentlemen, you need to identify yourself. Hey, are you an ICE or a cop? You could be. Hey, are you living? Are you ICE or a cop? Hey, are you living? Are you ICE or a cop? Hey, you living? Hey, look at their face. Are you ICE or a fucking cop? Are you ICE or a fucking cop? Oh, really? You're gonna fucking tase them? I got this on video. I'm a combat vet. I'm an Afghanistan combat vet. I got this on video. You won't even identify yourself.
Gentlemen, who are you with?
Who are you with?
Federal agents.
Who? ICE? Wow, you better not fucking tase them. Call the cops.
I need to see that.
Fucking pieces of shit. Look at their fucking faces. Can't even identify themselves. Pieces of fucking shit. Racist little bastards. You fucking piece of, you fucking, don't you touch me, I'll knock you the fuck out. I'm a combat vet. Afghanistan combat vet. What a fucking, we're following you, you fucking pieces of shit. Fucking pieces of shit. Look at these motherfuckers, racist little pieces of shit. Call the.
See the fear in his eyes. You see the fear in the guy with the plaid, the brownish plaid shirt on. See how scared he was when he tried to be all tough and he said, "I'm gonna knock you the fuck out." Maybe they need to hear that a little bit more because they continue to assault people. So again, this is not the beginning of this. We've been seeing this for months. This was one of the first policies that they decided to put in place. And we had too many stupid people who were going, well, I mean, they said they're going to deport all the violent criminals as they attack people like this and see them on the streets, starting in Los Angeles, doing this type of stuff. That was in Iowa City, Iowa. So let me go ahead and show you guys how normalcy works in human life and maybe even like survival, especially in the United States of America, where we're chocked full of guns, where we like to talk about how don't tread on me, the authoritarians are going to be coming, except they kept saying it was the other party that is full of authoritarians that were coming to knock on your doors and come to your places of business and start assaulting you. It's weird how we're seeing Donald Trump doing those things. And then as soon as something happens in response, look how they act.
FBI agents executed a search warrant at the sniper's residence yesterday, and there found a collection of notes. First, I want to point out that one of these notes or papers, the sniper explicitly states, yes, it was just me. That statement appears to be correct at this point in the investigation. Notably, these loose notes included a game plan of the attack and target areas at the facility. He called the ICE employees people showing up to collect a dirty paycheck. He wrote that he intended to maximize lethality against ICE personnel and to maximize property damage at the facility. He hoped to minimize any collateral damage or injury to the detainees and any other innocent people. It seems that he did not intend to kill the detainees or harm them. It's clear from these notes that he was targeting ICE agents and ICE personnel. The tragic irony for his evil plot here is that it was a detainee who was killed and two other detainees that were injured when he fired into the Sally Port. He also hoped his actions would give ICE agents real terror of being gunned down, and he did this to induce constant stress in their lives. He hoped his actions would terrorize ICE employees and interfere with their work, which he called human trafficking.
Let's just start with the obvious nature of this whole thing. There's no reason to believe anything that anyone in this entire administration or anybody officials that are speaking for any agencies in this entire administration say. There's just no reason for it. Let's go ahead and have that as our standard starting point, because that's always my standard starting point. Because as I've been saying, these guys have been lying since they first got into office. Why should you believe anything that they say? If there's tidbits of reality or truth to the things they say, there's a twist and then a shift to the next direction that they want to take it that have nothing to do with reality. So until they're at the point now where they need to overwhelmingly prove to me everything that they're saying isn't a lie, because it always has been. We just talked about Donald Trump going after James Comey, and everything he said is a complete and utter lie. So why, again, should we then go into this situation that happened at that ICE facility in Dallas, where apparently the sniper was on an elevated platform from a different roof across the street and shot the three detainees and killed one. And no ICE agents were hurt. All this went down the way, and immediately these folks come out. That was That was the U.S. Attorney Nancy Larson talking about the details of this whole thing. He left a note. He's got all this stuff written on bullets. Man, it's weird how the same MO keeps happening from the same shooters that they keep saying are leftists coming for our lily and very innocent ICE agents. That's why I showed all those instances of the normal procedures that they go about when they attack people on the streets, no matter if you're a citizen, a non-citizen, born here, it doesn't matter to them. They're on the attack. So when people come back and do something else, I feel like it's what they wanted. And if it wasn't happening soon enough, they're definitely willing to help make it happen. Here's what Kash Patel posted. Again, immediately after. How often do they do things like this? He said this morning, just before 7 a.m. local time, an individual fired multiple rounds at Dallas, Texas ICE facility, killing one, wounding several others before taking his own life. And he said they're all there with state authorities. He says, while the investigation is ongoing, an initial review of the evidence shows an ideological motive behind this attack. See the photo below. One of the unspent shell casings recovered was engraved with the phrase anti-ICE. More updates will be forthcoming as we come up with them. These despicable, politically motivated attacks against law enforcement are not a one-off. We are only miles from Prairie Land, Texas, where just 2 months ago, an individual ambushed a separate ICE facility targeting their officers. It has to end, and the FBI and our partners will lead these investigative efforts to see that those who target our law enforcement are pursued and brought to the fullest extent of justice. And he finished by saying, thankfully, no law enforcement personnel were injured. Please pray for the injured and deceased. You know, those people that you can just throw away and just say that they're the injured or deceased, no names, no acknowledgement of their lives, or the fact that you had them held in this facility for whatever reason that you still haven't told folks, because they're just taking people off the streets. They're minimizing their violent and unlawful behavior and highlighting what they keep showing is someone etching and writing in Sharpies on the sides of bullets, anti-ICE, anti-ICE. Here, catch this fascist. It's weird how it's the same MO every time. There's handwritten notes saying, it was me and I hate Donald Trump. And oh my God, I'm going to kill more. Isn't it weird? Also, that fake ass back and forth text messages that was supposed to be between the guy who shot Charlie Kirk and his girlfriend. As we've seen, their track record is they're really bad at the lies. So as you see really bad lies continue to unfold in front of you, especially the FBI, the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, just come out and start divulging all kinds of information publicly before they've had a chance to investigate anything. It wasn't even his only post. Wasn't that the mistake that he made during the Kirk shooting? I thought that was what they said the mistake he made was, but he kept going here. He said FBI Dallas and FBI HQ have been working 24/7 to seize devices, exploit data, and process writings obtained on location and in the subject's person and residence and bedroom. Here's some of the things he said they found. The perp downloaded a document titled Dallas County Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management, containing a list of DHS facilities. Number two, he conducted multiple searches of ballistics and the quote Charlie Kirk shot video. Number three, between August 19th and the 24th, he searched apps that tracked the presence of ICE agents. They definitely wanted that point in there. And number four, one of the handwritten notes recovered read, hopefully this will give ICE agents real terror to think, is there a sniper with AP rounds on that roof? So he says they're going to be accumulating more of this. But I wanted to highlight that whole thing about how he tracked the presence of ICE agents that they said. They want to make sure that the whole narrative here is to discourage people from pushing back from the violence that they continue to administer on this country, the threats that they continue to wage against folks. Tom Homan, who took $50,000, let's not forget, of a bribe, and now they're trying to cover that up. Tom Homan goes on TV regularly and threatens entire cities, says, I'm coming for you. We don't care what the law says. We're coming for you. We're going to take anybody we want. We're going to disappear people off the streets. We're going to open up really shady detention facilities where they fall apart and water leaks everywhere, but it doesn't matter. With no medical facilities, no restroom facilities, no sleeping facilities, we're just going to treat these folks like animals and nobody's going to do anything about it. And they don't expect people to respond. So when someone responds, they then say, how could he? This is going to be those leftists every time. except in the past couple instances, it hasn't been. Maybe that's why they're trying to generate all this evidence from Cash Patel's ass. Here's Adam Mockler. He was on CNN, and I think he pointed out something pretty obvious.
Every time one of these tragic shootings happens, everybody's at each other's throats about which side did it, but we're missing a broader pattern in America. This was another young white dude who's in his 20s. We have seen this pattern accelerating over the past decade. The same day Charlie Kirk was shot, the same exact time, there was a neo-Nazi who shot up a school in Colorado. We can look at the acceleration of the radicalization of young men through a few frameworks. There's the COVID pandemic, which had people isolated, had a bubble around themselves, and a lot of young men failed to pull that bubble down and got sucked down these algorithms. I've seen it happen to my close friends. They get sucked down these algorithms. We have foreign actors trying to sow chaos in America, sow division. How much does Putin salivate when he sees us at each other's throats? Then we have domestic actors, people like Elon Musk, riling it up. So all of these factors, wait, hold up, Ben. All of these factors come together to create this pattern that we see of young men in my age range committing these shootings. And if you want to sit here and go back and forth, tit for tat, I can say Dylan Roof, Robert Bowers, John Earnest, none of these were Black people. None of these were trans people. None of these were even Democrats. These were neo-Nazis who had things carved into their guns. You can sit here and muddy the waters, but you are just lying.
I just don't want innocent people to die. Sue me for that. I am
then maybe
saying,
tell Trump to tone down his rhetoric.
If you think this is Trump, this is exactly, you literally just the political entire argument. So I mean,
can I make something that might be a little bit more controversial than that?
Hold on a second.
Sure, go ahead.
This is the part that should not be this hard.
He says he hates his enemies.
Hold on, Adam.
Who says he hates his enemies?
This is the part that should not.
It's a problem when facts keep slapping you in the face. So as soon as you mention Donald Trump, it's all bets are off. This is where you've destroyed your argument, except it's just basic fact. We're seeing it all over the place. So, one more time. Just like previous shooters, as Adam Mockler pointed out there, you know how these radical lunatic leftists that Donald Trump and Cash Patel keep talking about? Here's some details from the Daily Beast. The family of the suspect in Wednesday's shooting at a Dallas ICE facility says he was not a radical leftist. Joshua John was identified as the shooter after he reportedly opened fire from that rooftop on an ICE field office on Wednesday. And we know what happened there. More details. But his family, just like the shooter in Utah's family, denied reports that the mass shooting, which ended with John taking his own life, was motivated by leftist ideology. It has nothing to do with that, is what John's relative, whose names was not shared, told the New York Post when asked whether John was anti-ICE, but he didn't elaborate. Quote, he didn't have strong feelings about ICE as far as I knew, is what the suspect's brother, Noah John, also told NBC. So if you want to just believe it, you will. That's how these fascists operate. It's like one party versus another. And if anything happens and you need to generate more chaos and rivalry shootouts in America, you just say one thing immediately and then start posting a bunch of stuff when you have no information. Here's the last part. A male relative who was reportedly with John's parents when the FBI interviewed them claimed Joshua was not a far-left political ideologue. According to the New York Times, John voted in the 2020 Democratic primary in Texas, but was registered as an independent in Oklahoma. He also wrote on Reddit about video games, cars, South Park, and marijuana, and had been living with his parents. Open and shut case for MAGA. The fact that they can have these types of declarations about who someone is because they think everybody registers to vote and then is on this rah-rah Democrat or Republican side, and just because they shoot folks that are then attacking people, shoot the folks that were already attacked and put in detention centers, and then claim it's radical lunatic leftist ideology. It's the reasons why I didn't have this conversation when the last one happened in Utah, because we know where it's going to pan out. We know what people are going to believe because they need to believe what they want to believe. The problem here is where this whole thing started with radical law enforcement agents that have no basis for their criminal activity to then run around the streets and take people off the streets, disappear them. Who knows what happened to them? Who knows if some folks are alive? And we just brush it off and have this conversation about whether or not this guy was a leftist or a righty. How about we start with where the violence began? If this whole mass deportation plan that Tom Homan, Marblemouth, keeps talking about and is not relented on. So I'm going to show you what Cash Patel and Donald Trump, the whole reason behind this and reasons why I started by not believing anything with their stories regarding this shooting here in Dallas. Because every time these shootings happen, it's the same MO from the shooter and the same response from these administration officials who turn it right into how they want to ramp up some kind of civil war. Here's Kash Patel.
And thanks to your recognition of this and this executive order and the AG's leadership to lead out and prosecute these individuals, we are properly going to chase them down like the domestic terrorists that they are. And our streets and our communities are going to be safer because the JTTF and the FBI and Treasury and DHS and DOJ are going to combine forces like never before to root out this new evil that is perpetrating our criminal activities across our societies. And we are just so thankful for your leadership and recognition of it. It's not easy to do.
Good job.
And thank
Maybe Kash should have wrote down his, his sermon there. As he said, they're going to root out these leftists. And he said it's a new scourge on our country, this new attack wave. I thought the leftists have been attacking and killing people for decades. I thought it's like 99% to 1. I thought it's been constant. But for some reason, Kash Patel accidentally let it slip that he claims this is some new approach, this new radical leftists that are shooting. It's almost like they're really bad at this. And on top of that, even again, this U.S. Attorney Larson, who gave the details of this shooter, even she had to admit, as they continue to break down who he was, that he wasn't what Kash Patel just said.
His words were definitively anti-ICE. That said, we did not find evidence of membership in any specific group or entity, nor did he mention any specific government agency other than ICE. Among his papers, though, was a handwritten note in which, in crude words, he expressed his hatred for the federal government. His words.
No evidence of any membership or any specific group. It's weird that they talk about membership in the first place. The whole reason Donald Trump was talking about going after Antifa and deeming Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist. Anyway, Antifa is so he can have this broad general accusation that he could have on anybody that he doesn't like. So anybody who protests him, Antifa, anybody who speaks out against him, Antifa. That's how fascists work. They create a group of their political enemies, and anybody who speaks up and has First Amendment rights as no longer having those rights because they're a terrorist organization. You can maybe fulfill that whole narrative by continuing to ramp up rhetoric so more violence happens. And then when that violence happens, even if it doesn't fit your narrative, you claim that it does. So you can then say things like what Donald Trump did as I wrap up this story. See if this quells any of this violence, any of this rhetoric, or if it's something that Donald Trump really wants to see keep happening.
They're out of control. They're saying things, and they're really dumb people. I mean, I look at Crockett. I look at some of these people. They're very low IQ people, actually. But the radical left is causing this problem, not the right, the radical left. And it's going to get worse, and ultimately it's going to go back on them. I mean, bad things happen when they play these games. And I'll give you a little clue. The right is a lot tougher than the left, but the right's not doing this. They're not doing it, and they better not get them energized because it won't be good for the left. And I don't want to see that happen either. I'm the president of all the people. But the radical left is causing this. The radical left Democrats are causing this problem, and they're at.
It's very similar to his call for January 6th rioters to run up on the Capitol. I mean, all you have to do is take back your country. And constantly, how many times did you say radical left Democrats? But did you hear the call to war? Right, the people on the right are tougher than them, and it's going to come back on them. What do you bring up Jasmine Crockett for? As we're talking about political rhetoric and starting to targeting certain political people. So he brings up Jasmine Crockett before he then talks about how the right is tougher than left and you don't want to piss them off or they just might come back with revenge. This is the president of the United States. He just said people that support him should get to shooting people. He just said people that support him are going to be back in the streets shooting people if this keeps happening. and it's gonna backfire on the left. Who the fuck is the left that he's now sending his people towards? The same people that he said to stand by until he gives them the word. The same people that have put their face in front of cameras and said, we're waiting for your word, Mr. President. The same people that he's hiring as ICE agents to then go attack people in the streets with zero accountability for what it is that they're doing, where they're taking them, or how they treat them. But when someone finally responds, they use it for their narrative to keep it going. That's how you make sure that the midterm elections next year don't happen. We have to declare a state of emergency. They're fighting. It's like a civil war or something. I need to stay here indefinitely until we quell this and figure out what the hell is going on. Mark my words. That's the plan. I don't know if they're going to get there, but that is the plan. Or if you just sit back, like Kevin Roberts, I think, said from the Heritage Foundation, this American Revolution will be bloodless as long as the left allows it to be. Either you sit back and get slaughtered, or you fight back, and then we have this huge fight that Donald Trump then calls an emergency that he has to then stay in power to take care of, that he started. It just is what it is. And while other folks who aren't paying attention are arguing over whether or not this guy's a leftist or rightist, they don't care. They don't care. But as long as they cared about Charlie Kirk being shot, 5 minutes, long enough to use it. I got more to go, you guys. I have a whole third story. So I appreciate you guys that have here long enough. As you guys have fallen off and maybe gone off to TDR, let them know that we got another story happening. If you guys see them over there later, for the few of you guys that decided to stay around, I got something else talking about the farmers, and Trump is talking about bailing them out. So again, if you guys are leaving, drop that like, drop that share. You can still drop those and then drop yourself if you'd like. I'd appreciate if you did stay though, because I think this is more of an indication of where this guy's brain is, how he thinks things should work, and how he also thinks no one else can understand how ridiculously stupid he really is. Here's Donald Trump talking about the state of farmers that I've been going over pretty extensively lately.
I want to take our money. We're doing well because of tariffs. We're doing unbelievable. We're making more money than we ever have made. And by the way, we're going to take some of that tariff money that we made, just to get off the subject for a second. We're going to take some of that tariff money that we made. We're going to give it to our farmers, who are for a little while going to be hurt until it kicks in. The tariffs kick into their benefit. So we're going to make sure that our farmers are in great shape, because we're taking in a lot of money. I want to take
more senselessness from this president. He wants to take tariff money, give it to these farmers who are suffering because of his tariffs, so that they can start rolling. That is until the tariff policy kicks in, and then they're going to make a lot of money. Did that make any sense to anyone? How is it you've got so much money coming in from tariff policies that you need to use it to help farmers who are suffering because of those same tariff policies? Give it to them so they can last long enough until money starts coming in from those same tariff policies, where they're going to be doing great. All you have to do is listen to them, and you'll understand how little sense he really makes. How is that possible? How are we in the golden age and also in a devastating age at the same time? But at the third part of the time, you have to wait until the golden age kicks in and everyone is doing great. How does that make any sense? How is it that no reporter standing there listening to his drivel then say, what the fuck are you talking about? What does that mean? How is it so great but horrible at the same time? Dumb. How is that possible? Instead, they let him continue to elaborate on how he's going to help these farmers that he screwed over.
A little bit of that money, a little bit of the tariff money to our farmers. Our farmers have been incredible. They're the ones that let us survive and eat and enjoy our lives, right? Eat too much, maybe in some cases, like mine. But I will tell you, we're going to take some of the tariff money, a relatively small amount, but a lot for the farmers.
What he's doing there is making sure that listen, any farmers that are listening to this, understand very little, don't get excited now, bro. very little, relatively very small amount. I mean, I may not do anything. Actually, I may just be talking because, someone whispered in my ear that my lies about the economy are catching up to me. So I got to start saying I'm going to do something about it, like have this socialist program where I give farmers money after I screw them over because somehow that's helping me. Matter of fact, I think here's another window into exactly how this policy is going to work. Pay attention. It's going to be a really detailed response.
Will, can I ask you about farmers?
Yes, go ahead.
What does that look like? Is that going to be direct checks to farmers, or is it going to be?
Well, we haven't decided that. We'll be dealing with Brooke later. Will,
He's got a policy in place going to help the farmers because he's thought about it, and after thinking about it, he's got no idea. I don't know. We're gonna do it at some point. I got to talk to Brooke Rollins, who doesn't know about anything but kissing my ass. So after she finishes kissing my ass, then I'll ask her how we're gonna continue to lie to these folks and make them think that we're responsible and not just hoarding all of their money. But this was really the kicker. This is his explanation as to how the tariff money, and pay attention to where he got this tariff money from, is going to help these farmers that he wants to help out because of him.
we're finding, the other day, it was very interesting. They found $31 billion. They said, sir, we found 31. I said, you mean positively, right? They said, yeah, 31 million more than we knew. And they said, we don't know where it came from. I said, check the tariff shelf. They came back the following morning. They said, you're right, sir, it came from the tariffs. We've never seen anything like this. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking some money from all of the tariff money that we've taken, and we're going to distribute it to our farmers until the tariffs kick into their benefit, which ultimately the farmers are going to be making a fortune. But we're finding.
Isn't that weird? That's the second time he's told that story, at least that I've heard. He's probably told it 5 times from the press conference he's potentially had. He told them, who's the they? Who's the they? They said, sir, we can't find the billions of dollars. They just keep falling out of the walls. I'm not sure which wall to catch them out of, sir. And he says, you know what you should do? Check that tariff shelf. You know that shelf where all the money keeps falling out of? Because, other countries are walking over and just shoveling cash at us. He's fucking Scrooge McDuck. He's diving into his vat of coins and swimming around and spitting it out like it's water. While Huey, Dewey, and Louie are like, hey, Scrooge, you got to come out of there sometime. This guy's painting cartoon pictures of what he's saying is happening in the country. And we're too fucking stupid to say, somebody get this guy out of my face. Somebody get him out of control of this government, because it's obvious that he's painting cartoon pictures of what's happening. There's a tariff shelf. And all these very responsible people that he says are the best in the world because he's hired enough of them. They said, sir, where's the money? Oh, man, we counted up $31 billion on the tariff shelf. What the tariff shelf? We couldn't find it. What these farmers though are finding is that he's full of shit.
Fertilizer and seed and diesel fuel, all of these things have just about tripled in price. And I'm selling my commodity for the same thing I was in the 80s. I've never seen anything like this. And it's all due to the president's tariffs.
That's Don Boyd there. Maybe you guys have seen him. He's the president of the National Black Farmers Association, talking about how bad things are, how much money they're getting with their product going out versus what they're paying due to Donald Trump's tariffs that somehow are also going to pay them. I doubt any black farmers are going to get paid, because his first rounds of saving farmers after he fucked them over in his first term, he made sure that he gave them to certain farmers. And for, in case you haven't figured it out yet, he's a racist. So he definitely avoided that bailout going to certain farmers whose skin tone was a little too dark. So I think he already understands that. But, at least the from bad news to worse At least this, this white farmer understands what's happening too, except he gives a full detailed breakdown as to exactly how, in case you guys still haven't seen this yet, there's direct reasons how these tariffs that are supposed to be saving these farmers have been actually screwing them over. And I also brought up John Deere during the campaign as well too. This mixes all of those points, and it really shows how bad this is. This is a farmer from Ohio.
I wanted to tell you something. I want to show you something about cost and supply. This is a chain. This spring, I had a chain go bad on my corn planter. Okay, and so I went to John Deere, bought a John Deere part right here. I'm getting ready to put it on, and this is a discussion about tariffs, about what increased costs are to agriculture. I open up this chain. If I can find it in here somewhere. I'm getting ready to put it on. See, I don't know if you can see this number right here. This A20505. That's a John Deere part number, a true John Deere part number. Maybe say it on the other side. I don't know. But looky here. Made in China. Made in China. I go to put this on. I'm thinking, you know what? I don't know what I paid for it. I just grabbed it and took off. They'll send me a bill. But I do know this, that I had to pay tariff on this thing. And that cost me more money. This is a genuine John Deere part right from my John Deere store that I've dealt with for 4 decades. Okay? China parts. That cost me money. That cost me money as a farmer. And folks don't realize of how many parts that we purchase are coming from overseas. You'll look at parts from China, of course, like it's a John Deere part, for God's sakes. Vietnam, which is probably a John Deere part, but being run through Vietnam and other places. So when the president runs around and thinks he makes these trade deals or puts reciprocal tariffs on somebody, it's directly hurting me because that costs me more money. The proof is right here.
The proof is right here. It's a shame that someone has to prove that tariffs cost the country that imports the goods and the companies that need those materials. It's a shame that he has to have a full 1.5 minute, almost 2-minute breakdown about why what everyone knows is reality. We have to start proving reality now. And there's still only a certain percentage of people that are going to believe him. They'll be like, who does he work for? Oh, he's getting some kind of kickback. As the guy in the White House is trying to build a $250 million ballroom that I think they said is going to be rivaling the size of the damn White House in the first place. This guy thinks enough people, I mean, maybe he's right, are a part of his racism and bigotry enough that they're going to continue to stick around. And at this point, they have. Because he says that, because as we see the economy being affected by his policies and his agenda, he just says things.
It's up to them. We have a great economy going. You saw the numbers yesterday. They're fantastic. The economy's doing well. Prices are down. We have virtually no inflation. Everything's going good. It's up.
Inflation's going nowhere. Prices are down. Jobs are up. It's wonderful. We just suspended jobs reports and we just suspended talk about inflation reports. Who cares? I just said it. Last video here, and I'm gonna let you guys go because I'm over by 10 minutes already. 13 minutes, jeez. I'm gonna give you guys this guy's his like more detailed explanation. This is I'm gonna wrap it up with this. His more detailed explanation and how he weaves as he's talking about how he goes through all this tariff revenue and then how also he's going to help farmers, but then also listen for some of the numbers that he says he's getting in. This isn't apparently the $31 billion from the tariff shelf, but he's getting it from countries that, who knows.
I think it's a good thing. It's a good sign. We're doing very well, as you know, with the trade deals. We're doing very well with China, and a lot of them. We were never treated properly. We were for 4 years, actually, but we were never treated very properly by other countries. And we're doing well. We've never done this well. We have, because of the tariffs that are coming and the deals that are being made, and $950 billion in one case. $950 billion, where previously they paid nothing. We have, as you know, in Japan, it's $550 billion. South Korea is $350 billion. That's up front. And I decided before, and I spoke to all of the people here, that I want to make a contribution out of the tariff money, a small percentage of it, but it's a lot for the farmers. It'll make the farmers feel very good, just help them through the transition. And ultimately, they're going to be making a fortune. They will be one of the top in the whole world in terms of the percentage gotten from the tariffs we're taking in. But we have so much coming in, it's a very small thing. But I want to, in fact, just get the word out to the farmer, because they'll be struggling until the transition is complete. Then after that, they're going to do, I think, better than they've ever done before.
Why is there a transition? Why is there a transition if you've got $950 billion coming in? He said in one case, when they were previously paying nothing. Who's they? Who gave you $950 billion when they were previously giving you nothing? He didn't give a name. Japan gave us $550 billion up front. And if you actually read, you'll see that Japan said, no, we're not. After deporting all those Korean workers, I think from that Hyundai plant, and made sure that, those folks won't want to ever do business with his dumb ass again. Everything's wonderful. They're giving us billions of dollars. So we just need to bail those guys out and lower interest rates because the economy's so good. Nothing he says makes sense. Nothing. It's blatant. Somebody's got to at least say, why are you guys not asking him questions? Why are you guys not saying that doesn't make sense? It facilitates his lies. If you don't point out how obvious it is that he's lying, what's the purpose of being there? Anyways, I know you guys want to go. It's Friday. The orange sickle tasting bang drink, it's not going to happen again. I need some suggestions, you guys. If you saw the post about the energy drinks, leave it there. Let me know what I'm supposed to be taking into next, so I don't, drink the wrong thing. But anyways, you guys, if you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, also share the stream. I'll see you guys next week. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy TDR. Let them know that I said my bad. I held you guys a little bit behind, but at least you're a little bit tipsy, I think. I'm not. It's an energy drink. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy your weekend if you can. Take care of yourselves. We'll see what disaster happens over the weekend that we can talk about on Monday. Till next time. See you, Ma.